Now let us continue from where we stopped from. Just a bit of a recap. We saw the definition of taxation and tax, right? After looking at what taxation and tax mean, then we went on to look at the canons of taxation, right? Canons of taxation. Well, these are the qualities of a good tax system, right? We saw some of the uh, qualities are set out by Adam Smith and other notable economists, right? This guy actually talked about his four canons being conveniency, right? Certainty, equitable, and the last one, just forgot to recall what the last one is, but he actually set out four canons of taxation, and the others also set out some of the canons, right? So after that, we looked at examples of tax, including sales tax, property rates, income tax, and so on and so forth. Right. Now, let's continue from where we stopped from. And now, let us look at classification and characteristics of taxes. Right. So, the taxes can be classified as direct taxes or indirect taxes, right? But both direct and tax can be either progressive, regressive, and proportionate. So we could say with that, the classification are between two, right? Direct and indirect. But now, when you talk about characteristics, is either they can actually be progressive, regressive, or proportionate, right? They can fall in these three categories, right? In terms of their characteristics, right? But the two classifications of taxes is direct taxes and indirect taxes. So when we are looking at the direct taxes, these are taxes which are generally charged on taxpayers' income or wealth, right? Taxpayers' income or wealth. So any money that a taxpayer makes and he's charged a tax on that, right? That's direct tax, right? Direct tax, right? When you're talking about taxpayer, we say that it can be a human being, it can be a business, or it can be a corporate body, right? Either, right? It is in form of direct tax. An example of a direct tax could be pay as you earn, which is in what charged to income from employment of an individual. That's pay as you earn, or corporate tax. This is basically charged on companies based on what the profits that they are made during the year. These fall under direct taxes. Now, let us look at what are indirect taxes. So these are taxes that are charged on goods or services. So when we buy a good or when you buy a service, tax that is charged on those goods or services, those are called indirect taxes. And examples could be excise tax, custom duty, VAT. All those are indirect tax. So we indirectly pay for the tax, right? When we actually consume those goods or services. For example, if I go buy a biscuit, I'm indirectly paying 16.5 on that biscuit that I've bought. I indirectly pay for it. I don't know that I'm paying for it, but I pay for it. It is embedded in the price of the biscuit. So now let us look at direct taxes, right? And we'll look at what are the advantages of direct taxes. The first advantage of direct tax uh, is that taxes are fair and equitable because they're charged according to taxpayer ability to pay tax. So they're saying that the first advantage is that they are fair and equitable. Why are we saying that they are fair? Because they are based on taxpayers' ability to pay tax. Let me just give you an example, right? When we are looking at the example of direct tax, we talked about pay, right? Pay as you earn. Maret Amanda Jones, right? You have the tax-free band, right? It means that if you earn 0 to 100,000, you pay 0 taxes. Then you can have another band which is coming from 100,000. These are not their actual bands. I'm just giving example. To 300,000, they might say you pay 25%, and maybe over 300,000 you pay 30% on that one. So what it means is that, right, a person that gets 50,000 will not be charged tax, right? But a person that is getting maybe 400,000 will be charged more tax. That means it is fair, right? Because if they are charging you tax based on your ability to pay tax, they're not just charging taxes to everyone. That's why we're saying that it is what? It is basically fair and equitable. The second advantage of direct tax is that it tends to stabilize the economy automatically, right? How is this done, right? By taking more income from taxpayer during the time of inflation and less during the time of recession. We saw this, right? And we are saying that these are stabilizing economy. They act as fiscal tools, right? How do they do that? There's a lot of money in circulation. What they will do, they will impose higher taxes so that they reduce the disposable income of the citizens, right? That way, they will actually stabilize the economy. Where they're seeing that the economy is in recession, what they do, they reduce taxes so that people have a lot of disposable income that they can spend on products or services which will boost the economy. So basically, that's how direct taxes act as fiscal policies or help in stabilizing the economy automatically. Another advantage is that direct taxes are less inflationary compared to indirect taxes because they reduce taxpayers' disposable income and purchasing power, right? So we're saying that they are less inflationary in two ways. Inflation is coming from the word inflation. Inflation. So Kurimu says in economics, right? Inflation is caused by too much money chasing too less goods. It's all about demand and supply. And drama zambili, there's a lot of money in the circulation, right? There's a lot of money in circulation, right? But the goods are less. So because of that, it's like there's high demand of the goods. That means people can charge more. People can charge more, right? So they're saying that it is less inflationary. Why? Because what they do, akamanga charge taxi, what they do, they are reducing the money, disposable income for Antu, right? Because Amadura before Mutusa and drama zich, right? So it's like they are reducing your spending power. Spending power. So if people have less spending power, it means that there will be less money chasing what? Too much goods. So what will happen is that the goods will fall down. Another thing why we're saying that it is less inflationary is that it is not charged on goods or services. The inflation, we're saying that zinthu zikukwera tenga tinagula 200,000 chinthu tachajaponso VAT ya 16.5 let's say kuti 30,000 chinthu chikukwera. Instead of ndakachita kuchigula 200,000, I'm saying ndichigula 230. It means that chikukwera. So indirect taxes might be inflationary, while this one is not inflationary. That's another advantage of direct taxes. It's less inflationary, right? One, because it reduces the disposable income for people. So it's like less money is chasing too much goods, meaning that the guys amene agulitsa achipisa, right? And another thing is that simagulitsa mtengo wajani wakatunduchi, right? Samatusa katundu. So this is kula. So that's why we're saying that it is less inflationary. Another thing is that the taxpayer is certain as to how much is expected to pay, as the tax rates are decided in advance. Timazoa kuti chaka ndi chaka kumatuluka ma tax rate, right? Not yearly, but yeah, they might revise yearly. So everyone knows how much I'm supposed to pay. You can individually calculate. Sikuti nizobisa mangokudula, no. You know the rates. The first 100,000 is this. The next like that, right? So because of this, the person is basically able to know, or he's certain of how much money he is supposed to pay. Another thing is that the government can easily estimate the tax revenue from direct taxes with a fair accuracy, right? Because these are the rates that we're going to use, right? And we can estimate how much money we're paying to the people. We can calculate how much money we're expected to collect as a government, right? Because of this certainty in the tax rates. Another thing is that burden of direct taxes is on the taxpayers, hence they take keen interest in how public funds are spent. Right? They're taking 30% out of our paychecks, right? So what happens? Right? We'll be so interested in how this money is being used. Tikumva kupweteka ndife, right? So because tikumva kupweteka ndife, tita kumadana nzoti ma politician aziba ndalama zathu. So because of that, we take interest kufufuza kuti where, how, and how much have you used from our taxpayers. Kani china ike chikangochitika anthu amavuta, because timadziwa kuna kuti atenga ndalama zimene ndagwirira ntchito as a person, right? As a person, they have removed part of my hard earned money. So because of that, I'm interested in how the funds are being used. And now let us look at what are the disadvantages of direct taxes. The first disadvantage, and it is argued that direct taxes act as a disincentive to work effort, as high income earners feel they are highly taxed for their effort. The more you earn, the more you are taxed. So because of this, some people have argued that it is a disincentive to people that work harder and earn a lot of income. Because what happens is that they will say, right? So I'd rather not work hard to earn a lot of money. That's the first thing, and that is argued in terms of direct tax. The second thing, high tax rate can cause migration of highly skilled and highly paid workers to countries with favorable tax conditions. 40% of our hard worked money, right? What will happen is that these guys that earn a lot of money, these guys that are skilled, will go to countries where they know that they will not be taxed highly. So we will lose highly skilled employees, highly skilled people to countries where there are favorable tax conditions. Another disadvantage is that taxpayers with more income may find loopholes so that they can avoid paying taxes. Mukuona, anthu akulanda ndalama zambiri ndipo akuzindikira kuti akudulira msonkho ndalama zambiri. So what happens? Zimapasa zimaganizo kuti how can I run away from paying a lot of taxes? So they find loopholes. Loopholes, sekuti ndi chimo, right? Loopholes is just finding faults in the system. Finding faults in the system, right? Finding faults in the system. For example, right? For example, an example of a loophole that was there. Kuli tax inaki imachedwa fringe benefit tax. Fringe benefit tax. We will look at it. Fringe benefit tax. So the thing is, this fringe benefit tax is charged on an employer for giving benefits to his employees. So zimene zimachitika nsoonera kuti kalekale kusabwera fringe benefit tax, what was happening is that employee was charged only pay as you earn. Right? So amaona kuti they say kuti nipase 500,000 amudula, for example, let me give a rough example, amudula 150 ngati msonkho yake. It means asanita ngati 350 akupita nayo. So what employers would do would lie kunena kuti okay, iweyo titani, that means ababa kumpasa benefit iliyonse, right? What we do, amachita zona kuti alright, instead of giving you 350 tizikupasa 200,000, right? Koma, what will happen is that we will have to make sure that we give you benefits, right? We give you benefits, right? For example, rent tizigulipirira, right? Rent muna magrocery tizigulira, right? It means zima benefit akukupasaja sakukudula msonkho, right? Ma benefit akukupasaja sakukudula msonkho, right? So because of that, what we are saying is amakanga akusonkha akuthawa msonkho wa 300,000 uja chifukwa zinthu chaya akumpangira. That's a loophole. Sikuti akulakwitsa, they're just finding faults in the system so that they pay less taxes, right? So that's what they're doing, right? Because akuona kuti timapenga msonkho wambiri, right? They find loopholes. So for that reason mapeza kuti anthu akuthawa yani taxes in that way. This is not tax evasion, because tax evasion is a crime. Kuthawa kupereka msonkho, right? This is called tax avoidance, where you're finding loophole in the system so that you pay less taxes. Right. Now let us look at other disadvantages. And another disadvantage is that it is easier for taxpayers, especially business, to evade taxes. Right. Now, anthuso ena amathawa msonkho. As I tell you, tax evasion is different from tax avoidance, right? Maybe we might not look at these terms here, but I'll just mention it in passing. When I talk about tax evasion or evading tax, ndikuthawa kupereka msonkho, right? You are supposed to pay, you earn 500,000, iwe nkupanga declare kuti I earn 200,000. Kunama kuti is sinadan, I don't earn 500,000. That's tax evasion, and this is what? Illegal. While tax avoidance is to finding loopholes in the systems or faults in the system for you to pay taxes. Ngati mmene makuwuzani kuja kuti ndizikupasa 200,000, 500,000 ndizingokupasa ma benefit. Temene kuti benefit tax makhala kuti ndi msonkho imene yauthayiwatu. Same mlandu, right? Until ndataona kuti my employer ambiri amapanga zimenezi nimene anabweresano yani fringe benefit tax. Kuti my employer should be suffering the tax for doing so, right? They should be suffering the tax for doing so. So what you're saying is, in the first scenario, we said that it is a disadvantage because it makes people that earn a lot of money to find loophole in the system, right? This is called tax avoidance. Wow, where a person is not declaring all his income, right? That's called tax evasion, right? And tax evasion is basically is basically illegal, right? It is illegal. While tax avoidance is not illegal, right? But really, zimajebesa beyani misonkho yandan ya imene amapangana collect, but it's not illegal. But tax avoidance, but tax evasion is illegal. Ndipo akakugwira kupanga zizi, they will actually penalize you. Tax avoidance, what do? They just amend the law so that antunu musamathaire kumeneko muzilipirabe misonko. Right? Another disadvantage is that direct taxes can affect savings and investment. Mwaona, ndimandira 500,000, mena fotokozera mujet, 500,000, ndeno msonkho atengapo 150. Taona ndasandijani 350. Taganizani, ndipange my expenses banga, rent 100,000, nditantani, ndisaso ndrama imene save, right? Because saving and investment are the things that boost the economy. Nengati anthu tikungopeza kuti ndrama zathu zingothera hand to mouth because taxes have reduced the amount of money that we have. It means that it is actually affecting the savings and investment. As we said, saving and investment in economics, right, is somewhere where this is basically how an economy is boosted, because this money is invested and it will help in production of goods and services. So that's another disadvantages of direct taxes. Now let us look at indirect taxes. We saw that indirect taxes are taxes that is charged on goods or services, right? Now let us look at what are the advantages. The first advantage is that these taxes are included in the cost of goods or services, making them easy to collect. Ndinakuwuzani kuti these taxes are included in the price of a good. For example, ndikamaka biscuit, VAT amakhala ali nkati, ndiponso sindimaziwonso kuti ndikupeka. Anthu ena samaziwonso kuti amapeka msonkho pa zakudya zimene amagula, pa zinthu zimene amagula zambiri, right? So it's like kuti they're easily able to collect this what tax. Simukuyena mukapange declare, no. They're easily able to collect tax. How? Tikamazaona VAT as one of the indirect taxes, what will happen is that these taxes are collected from what? I mean, munthu amene amagusa yani sonko. So the guy has to pay, for example, a shop, right? A shop has to pay the tax to the MRA guys. Yeah, VAT wakatundu. Ndiponso asanaguliseso. What will happen is that this guy will collect the VAT from individuals. Akamagula yani kanuja little by little. Koma taganiza akaona kuti VAT iyo amakudula nthawi imene kutani ukugulayo. Right? Akagusapo lero 10 kwacha, atingepo kandi 3 kwachawo, which would have been what? Not convenient, right? So this one we are saying that, but it is easy to collect, right? It is easy to collect, right? Now, another disadvantage is that indirect taxes can be used to discourage consumption of certain goods or services. I told you, excise, not VAT, excise, right? Excise is one of the ways in how the government actually discourages the consumption of certain goods or services, right? For example, I'm a charger. Apart from all the taxes I'm a charger, for example, VAT, right? I was chargers on sonko now to my excise, right? Kuti zinthu zijazidule. Zinthu zikadula, they are assuming kuti zibanga yani discourage anthu, right? From buying them. Although mapeza kuti zinthu zichabe anthu akutani akuzigula, because maybe zinthu zonzochipa kwambiri kupanga. For example, a bottle of beer and 800 kwacha, maybe it's cheaper. Maybe if they wanted to decide munabweza kumene kuti 10,000. Or I know people, right? How people will still have to buy those ones. But that's a way of what discouraging. Mukamagula kwambiri muze kuti mupeka so misonkho yambiri. Right? Another thing is that indirect taxes are flexible instruments of economic policy. They can be changed easily and quickly. Why are we saying that they are flexible? Because they can be changed easily and quickly. Mutangobanga readjust what your msonko ka VAT exercise basi zateka. While zinthu zina, it takes a long time to adjust. Another advantage is that indirect taxes are convenient as they are paid only on purchase of goods or services. So we only pay, right, when we are actually purchasing goods or services, not before, right, not after, but the time we are purchasing goods or services. So in that way, it is convenient. Another advantage is that indirect taxes have a wide coverage. So a majority of the products or services are subject to indirect tax, right? As almost everything, almost if not everything, but almost everything will be charged toward these indirect taxes, right? It might be, right, VAT, excise, custom, what? But a lot of the goods or services are charged tax. So it's basically they are able to collect more money from a broader coverage, right? Because what you're saying is almost all the goods or services are subject to these indirect taxes, right? Another thing is indirect taxes may not affect the motivation to work, since most of the indirect taxes are not progressive. As opposed to direct taxes, it acts as a disincentive. This one has an advantage because it is what? It does not work. It does not what? It is not progressive. The progressive at the characteristic to you are actually what? Taking more money from what? High earners and taking less money from less earners. Right? Pomwe tikaona za indirect taxes, my indirect taxes like VAT, mapeza kuti anthu amalipira mofanana, right? That means anthu amene amapanga n drama zambiri ndi amene amapanga n drama zochepa amalipira msonkho ofanana on the same good or service. So because of that thing, right, it means kuti anthu amene amapanga ndalama zambiri will not be what demotivated, right? Demotivated because akuti akudwidwa msonkho zambiri faka amapanga ndalama zambiri. So it's basically that. Another thing that we can look at as an advantage is that indirect taxes have an inbuilt safeguard against tax evasion, right? Because mtengo wa rather tax is embedded or included in the cost of kanthu kamene tikugulako. Zimachitika zonena kuti anthu ambiri timakanika kuthawa. Chithawa bwanji? Ndikuyena ndigule biscuit pa 50 kwacha. Pa 50 kwachapo muli msonkho kale ndi uthawa bwanji? So it's like there's a safeguard. Kuti njira yona kuti anthu asamathawe misonkho imeneyo, right? So the indirect taxes are paid by customers and the sellers have to collect it and remit it to the government, right? So amene amakasiya misonkho, right, the sellers sikuti iwo akupeka ndalama zawo, no, they're just collecting it on behalf of the government. So inenso ogulani sindithawa chifukwa ndikana kuti ndifuna ndiuthawe most likely ndikuti katunduyo sindigula. Koma we know kuti it's not completely true because umatha kungovaya mu shop mwamwenye ndikukangoza kuti ndifuna ndigule katunduyo, ndeno amangofunsa kuti ndiyike VAT or not. Ukangoti not VAT basi ndikuti yani satulusa EFD receipt, right? EFD receipt, electronic fund, I think, is it device transfer? I think so. I think so. Komano chimene chimatulusa chimapanga record za sonkho zija receipt ija pamakhala VAT imene imachachidwa. So akangopanda tulusa receipt imene makhanga mathawa, right? Although I'm saying kuna kuti it is a better way of collecting because let me just say that it reduces evasion. Not complete, but it does reduce evasion because this tax is paid as part of the goods that we want to purchase. Now let us look at disadvantages. All right, now looking at disadvantages, the first disadvantage of indirect tax that are not considered fair because taxes are paid the same for both high and low income earners. I'm now it's not fair. Taganizani, right? Taganizani, kuna kuti munthu amene akulandira 10 million ndi amene akulandira 100,000 akamagula sugar wa 1,000 msonkho wake umakhala chimozimozi, for example maybe 200 kwacha. Nekuti munthu uyu akulepera ndalama zambiri as compared kwa munthu uyu kutenga yani ndalama zimene amapanga eni. So it's not fair. Nanga munthu wa 10 million alipire zofanana ndi munthu alandira 100,000, right? That's what unfair, right? That's unfair. So that's the first one. It is seen to be unfair because it takes the same amount of money for both high earners and low earners. Another thing is that because the same amount of taxes is paid by both high earners and low earners, there is no redistribution of wealth. Tunaona why taxes are imposed on citizens, right? We saw one of them as a way of redistribution, right? Then mukutenga misonkho yofanana from the rich and the poor. You are not redistributing, right? You are supposed to take a lot from the rich and less from the poor. That way you are at redistribution. So because you're taking the same amount of money, indirect taxes are said that there's no redistribution of wealth. That's another disadvantage. Indirect taxes may reduce demand for goods and services because they increase the price. In other words, they are inflationary. Right? So that's basically it. They are inflationary and they reduce and they increase the price of an item. Chifukwa choti chinthu cha 100,000 kenako amaika bujani sonkho, for example VAT exercise chipezo cha 100,000 chafika mpaka 20,000. Imagine magalimoto pa B-forward umatha kuapeza nkwabwesa ku Malawi kuno maybe 500,000 galimoto utha kuipeza 500,000, right? Koma kuti iyambe kugwira kuno msonkho umene utalipira ipezo kuti yafika mpaka 2 million. Galimoto utagula 500,000 yafika 2 million, right? It's like kuti chikukweza mtengo wa katundu, right? So that's basically it. it's inflationary, right? Increasing the prices of goods and services. Another thing is that indirect taxes affect consumption of certain products, right? The reduction in consumption affect the investment activity, which in turn hamper economy. Kunaona kuti katundu chakutani akudula. For katundu akudula, what's happening? Consumption is what is less, right? Because to grow zochepa, it means kuti makampani amene amapanga zimenezi, they will be affected because sakugusa zinthu zambiri. So this will what actually hamper or actually affect the economic growth. Affect adversely the economic growth. That's to do with the advantages and disadvantages of indirect taxes. Now we talked about progressive, regressive, and proportionate as characteristics that direct and indirect taxes might have. So let us look at what is progressive taxes. So progressive taxes, these are taxes whose rates increase as the tax income increase. Zikupanga progress. Tikamala tikupanga progress ndikukula, right? So zikukula. So if you earn more, right, and you are paying more, that's what progressive tax. Most of the direct taxes are progressive, including what? Pay. Ukamapanga ulandira zambiri, you'll be paying a lot as well, right? You'll be paying more as well. Cause umapeza kuti amene akulandira from 0 to 100, tax 0. Amene akulandira 100, the next 100,000 to 200, we now live at 25%. Maybe from 250 to 750, 30%. Maybe more than more by 750, more than Rama excess more 750, could be 35%. It means zikamakula ukutani ukulipira chani ukulipira no zambiri, right? Ukulipira zambiri, right? Because mukona rate ija ikukula, rate ija ikukula ifaja ndalama zia ndokulandira. So that's what progressive taxes, right? So since the rates are higher for high level of income, taxpayers with more income may pay more taxes as compared to those that earn less, right? Those that earn less pay less as compared to those that earn more, because tax rates amabanga increase. An example is pay, right? Pay as you earn. Advantages of progressive taxes, we will see now some of these advantages will be similar to either direct or indirect, right? In this case, most likely they will be similar to what? The direct taxes. Taxes are considered fair and equitable. We are taking more from the rich than what? The poor. Taxes help the government redistribute wealth. You're taking more from the rich, right, and less from the poor. For public usage, right? For example, hospitals, schools, and so forth, right? It's mainly there's redistribution of wealth. Taxes stabilize the economy automatically by taking more income from taxpayers during the time of inflation and less during recession. So we're taking more money when it's time for inflation, and we are taking less when it is what? Recession. Right? So that's what to do with progressive taxes and their advantages. Well, disadvantages that high tax rate may act as a disincentive to work effort, as high income earners feel that they are highly taxed for their effort. Now, what was that? It is a demotivation, right? Demotivation. High tax rates can cause migration of highly skilled and highly paid workers to countries with favorable tax conditions. Right? So we're saying Antagutawa Malawi because my taxes are in the for high earners, right? So they'll go to countries where they seem to be fair taxes, right? That means we'll be losing out on skilled personnel. Another thing is that taxpayers may find loopholes so that they can avoid paying tax, resulting in less revenue for the government. So as I said, they'll find way of avoiding these taxes, right? Because they are paying a lot of taxes, so they find ways of avoiding these taxes. That way, what it is reducing the revenue for government. It's not illegal, as I said. This is tax avoidance. right? This is tax avoidance and not tax evasion, right? That's to do with that. Now let us look at what regressive taxes are. So when we're looking at regressive taxes, these are taxes whose amount are fixed regardless of the taxpayer's income. So the high earners and the low earners are paying the same. It's fixed regardless of how much you pay. An example is VAT. Munthu amene akugula sugar amene amalandira 10 million, he will pay 16.5. Na amene amalandira 10,000 pa mwezi, alibe 16.5 when you purchase what? The same packet of sugar. That's regressive, right? These include parking, market fees, which are fixed for both high and low earners, right? Including Sovatis, right? Parking fee, kayo kwenda chi Range Rover, right? Ulibe 100 kwacha. Ka upulitire we kajani, ka ato, ulibe 100 kwacha. Right? 100 kwacha. Mwaona bepo? Sakunena sona kuti for choti ino ndino anthu rama muzibe ndalama zambiri. No, that's what an example of what regressive what tax. Another thing is, as a result of the tax paid for similar transaction is the same, but there is less income. As a result, the tax paid for similar transaction is the same, but those with less income pay a high proportion of their earning compared to those that earn more. Taganizana kunena kuti ngati ineyo ndikunena kuti ndikugula chinthu. For example, ndikugula sugar uyu, right? Ine wina amalipira 10,000, wina amalipira 1,000. Ndipo pa msonkho uyu, pa msonkho ndikulipira 20 kwacha. Msonkho wa katundu ameneyo, right? As compared to this one, it means that I'm paying that's 5%. Wow, you say kuti 20 kwacha pa 10,000, it's like kind of 0.5, right? It's 0.5. I think so, right? So it's 10,000. So you have this, that's 5, right? It's basically, I think it's 0.05 or, yeah, 0.05 or 0% of what? His money, right? His money. So you can see now kuti, it's like kuti, mukapanga compare, ndi ndalama zimene amapanga eni zimakhala ngati zikumpwetika munthu amene amapanga yani eni zochepa. That's regressive taxes. Although anthu akulipira zofanana, right? Koma ukapanga compare ndi ndalama zimene amapanga eni munthuyo akulipira ndalama zambiri from his what? Disposable income. What are the advantages of regressive tax? Taxes are relatively easy to collect and administer. One of the these regressive taxes are VAT, right? It's easy to collect. Mukamalipira time yo makautan ukulipira so kuziwa, right? So they are easy to what? Collect and administer. So you don't have to what? You don't have to file returns and whatnot. No. These taxes are paid in the shape of the price of commodities. People pay these taxes when they are buying what? Commodities. That's why we're saying that this is more convenient, right? Right. Why are we saying that it is more convenient is because we are paying at the time that we are actually what? Buying the goods or services. We do not pay in advance. We don't pay later. We are paying by the time that we are buying the goods or services. Now let us look at disadvantages of regressive taxes, right? Taxes are not considered fair and equitable because remember compare as a proportion. I mean, I 10,000 was paying 0.5% of his income, or this one was paying what 5% of his income. So they are not considered to be what equal or fair. Another thing is that because the same amount of tax is paid by both high and low income earners, there is no redistribution of wealth, right? There's no redistribution of wealth because everyone is paying the same amount. Now let us look at the last characteristic, and this is proportionate taxes. So proportionate taxes, as it says, these are taxes that are paid at the same rate by all taxpayers. Right? An example is income tax by companies. Corporate tax is 30%. Simakula, simachepa. Right? Every company will pay 30% of its profit. Kamupanga ma billion, kampanga ma million, kampanga ma thousand, mupanga 30%. Pomwe, kono muone kusiyana kwa progressive ndi regressive. Progressive ndi chani tipange compare zonse, right? Progressive tikuona kuti marate aja akukula, right? Kwambira for the first 100,000 mupereka 0%, right? Then the next 100,000 to 250 mupereka 25%. Mukuona marate aja akukula from 200,000 more than 250 to kabwanji mukuona mupereka 30%. Mukuona rate ija ikukula. It's being what? Progressive ikukula rate ija. Regressive tikunena kuti it's fixed. Aliyense akulipa chimozimozi 16.5, right? It is regressive because mukapanga compare ndi proportionate ya munthu amene akulandira ndalama zochepa imakhala ngati kuti ikumupweteka munthu amene akulandira chani ndalama zochepa, right? While tikamaona proportionate, it means that it is the same rate, right? 30%, right? Kamupanga ma billion, kamupanga ma thousand, kamupanga ma million, you are going to pay 30% of that, the profit that you earn. So that's where it is what different. So advantage is that the tax are considered to be fair and equitable, right? They are fair. Everyone is being what paying according to what how much what they earn, right? They earn. Disadvantage is that taxpayers do not contribute much in the redistribution of wealth. And do not contribute much. Not really, they do not contribute to redistribution. Komano, they do not contribute much. Yes, there's redistribution of wealth because ngati ukupanga ma profit ambiri ubekaso ndalama zambiri. Koma they do not contribute much as compared to what? Compared to progressive. Pakati kuna kuti ukakulanda ndalama zambiri ndiye kuti akuchajaso rate so yaikulu. Not as proportion to what you are earning, but akuchajaso yambiri, right? So they do not contribute much to redistribution of wealth. So that's where we're gonna stop from. Thank you.